59 centimetres. You're right, it has got bigger since I started at GCN.
Helmets. We think that you should wear one every single time you go out on your bike. But when it comes to purchasing one, there's actually loads of options out there on the market and a few considerations that you need to make sure that you get the right one for you. We are quite obviously in KASK HQ in Italy. There's loads of other brands out there that you can choose as well. And in this video, we're just going to go through a few of those options to make sure that you get the right one for you. Let's face it, the first consideration for most people is actually going to be how much they spend on the helmet. Not everybody can afford the very high-end models, even some people that can afford them don't want to spend that much money. However, the good news is that spending less on a helmet does not mean that it's going to be less safe or that it won't protect you in the event of an accident. Almost every single country around the world has minimum safety standards that all companies have to meet before their helmets go to market. So if you make sure that you buy yours from a reputable local bike store, then you should be able to check that as well. Take a look inside the helmet and find this sticker. So if spending more actually doesn't get you any more protection, what does it buy you? Well, there are a few answers to that question. First and foremost, if you spend more on a helmet, you'll generally get something which is much lighter and therefore more comfortable to wear every day when you're out riding. Secondly, you'll get more ventilation, although thirdly, these days manufacturers are starting to invest quite a lot into making their road helmets more aerodynamic. So take this one for example, be fully ventilated when you want to be, and fully aero when you need to be. Finally, spending a bit more money will, again, generally get you a helmet which is better looking. But that's not always the case, and if you're personally somebody that likes a model that's further down the line, happy days. You can spend less and still look good. Now, your next most important consideration after safety should be comfort and fit. In fact, the two really go hand in hand. If your helmet doesn't fit you perfectly, it's unlikely to be able to do the job perfectly if you do happen to have an accident. So this is also a purchase that we would thoroughly recommend that you make at your local bike store rather than trying to do it over the internet. That way you can try it before you buy. Now, before you head to your local bike store, it's not a bad idea. Get a tape measure like this and measure your head. That way, you'll be able to compare that with the sizes that most manufacturers will have written inside the helmets here. A relatively recent addition to many modern helmets is this, the retention system that you'll see on the back. And it does make a huge difference. You get a really nice snug fit. So snug in fact that actually when you put it on, get it in place and do it up, you can put your head upside down without the helmet straps fastened and it still won't come off your head. A lot of manufacturers, along with the tightening aspect of the retention system at the back, will also offer height adjustability. And that's great if, like me, you've got a large protruding lump that comes out the back of your head. Now, once you've got it on, it's tightened comfortably, just check all the way around where it meets your head that there are no pressure points. We've all got different shaped heads after all, and it might be that a certain manufacturer just doesn't work for you, so just keep trying until you find something that is really comfortable. Next up, ask yourself what type of riding you do and what conditions you do it in. Now, I'm not going to delve over to the mountain bike side and all the options available to them. They're a completely different species and I shall leave that to the global mountain bike network. However, even us roadies have to occasionally ride in cold and wet conditions. And if that's the case for you most of the year round, then maybe get something which is not going to let the cold and the rain in. Conversely, if you live in a really hot country, get something which is going to let plenty of air in and keep your head cool. Next, do you do a lot of commuting, riding on busy roads or at night? Because if that's the case, then you want to get something which is highly visible. So think about the colour, how many reflective strips you've got around the helmet, or even have a look at some of them these days that have got integrated lights on the back. Finally, do you like to ride fast? If that's the case, make sure you pay attention to aerodynamics, because believe it or not, an aero helmet can make more difference than aero wheels or an aero frame. Finally, you should check out the company's position on crash damage replacement, because quite a few companies out there will actually offer you a pretty decent discount on a new helmet if you happen to have received an impact on your old one. And whilst we're on that subject, it's also worth pointing out that if you do receive an impact to your helmet, you should replace it, even if you actually can't see any superficial damage whatsoever. So there you have it. If you're about to purchase a brand new road helmet, make sure that it meets your local safety standards, that it's a good fit and comfortable. Buy what you can afford and like the look of, and that's going to suit the type of riding you do and the conditions in which you do it. And finally, check out the company's crash replacement policy. If you'd like to see a video from Cy talking through how to fit a helmet, you can find that by clicking up there. And if you'd like to see how to choose the shoes for the riding that you do, you can find that by clicking down here. And finally, as always, it's absolutely free to subscribe to the Global Cycling Network, and all you've got to do is click like here.